suffering is not inevitable. The Buddha recognized that it's not our pain that causes our suffering. It's the meaning we give our pain that causes our suffering. It's meanings like, my boss will be upset with me, or I can't do that, or they'll laugh at me, or I screwed up again. Sound familiar? See, what if it were possible to stop giving meanings like these to the events in our life all day long, thereby stopping our emotional suffering? You don't have to imagine it. There actually is a way to quickly and easily dissolve the meaning we give to events all day long. And before I'm done, you'll have learned how to do it. Now, I'm not talking about changing what happens to us. There are things like sickness and losing a friend or losing all your money. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about changing the meaning we give serious events like those and other events that might not be quite as serious. These are the meanings that are responsible for our negative feelings all day long, and these are the meanings that are responsible ultimately for our suffering. Please raise your hand if you've experienced any sense of anxiety or anger or upset in the last week or so. That's almost everybody, isn't it? Wouldn't you like to be able to live without those painful feelings? You'd suffer a lot less, wouldn't you? Let me tell you what meaning is. Meaning is what we think we know for sure from any event or series of events. In fact, what we think of as meaning is just one point of view, one arbitrary interpretation that we add to an event. There are many meanings for any event. For example, imagine a friend of yours doesn't return a phone call. Most people would probably give a meaning like, I guess they're angry at me. Could mean that, but it also could mean cell phone battery died, or they had an emergency, or they just forgot. See, there are multiple explanations for any event. You can't ever know anything for sure from any single event because events have no inherent meaning. Now, almost all of us, all day long, unconsciously and automatically give meaning to events. And we try to make sense of what happens to us. There are things all the time, and what do they mean? And in the process of trying to understand the events of our life, we create meaning. He did that because he doesn't like me. She did that because she doesn't care. It just isn't going to turn out. Now, we're usually not aware we've added meaning to events because the meaning we give an event seems like it's part of the event. It's like it's inherent in the event. See, imagine, here's the event and here's the meaning. And when we first become aware of the event, it seems like the meaning's part of it, like it's inherent in it, like it's there, like it's one. Now, I'd like to make an important distinction. Events have consequences, but consequences are not the same as meaning. So for example, assume your house burned down or a tornado swept it away. Consequences, you don't have a house anymore. But do you know anything for sure as a result of that event? Does the event have any meaning? Do you know if you're going to have a place to sleep tonight? Do you know if you're ever going to have another house? The only thing you know for sure from an event is that the event happened. Now, I suggest that about 95% of all arguments in relationships and the suffering that they cause are due to attributing meaning to what people do and say, and then thinking that that meaning is true. Let me give a personal story that helps make this real. After about 30 years of marriage, my relationship with my wife, Shelley, I think was really good. I think that we were happier than most couples that I know. We held hands all the time, and we kiss in public, and we just really have a great time together. But there are all these petty little annoyances, like so many of us have, almost every day, that really undercut our happiness. Now, Shelley and I work together in our house, and she works upstairs and the kitchen's downstairs. Because she's on the phone all day long, she drinks a lot of water and tea. So for some weird reason, every time she goes down to the kitchen to get herself some more water and tea, she gets a fresh glass and a fresh cup. So by the end of the day, there are 6 or 8 glasses and cups strewn all over the house. Not a big deal, but when I saw them at the end of the day in the office, or in the bedroom, or even in the bathroom, I got upset. What upset me? The meaning that I gave her behavior was that she was expecting me to pick up all these glasses and cups and take them to the kitchen. She never asked me to do that. She didn't expect me to do that. But because I had given it the meaning that she's expecting me to clean up her mess, I got upset. And when I realized that I had created that meaning, I dissolved it. And when the meaning went away, the annoyance went away. And it never came back. Many people in relationships give meaning to so many things that their partners do, such as when they spend money, or when they criticize each other, or they don't do what they're asked to do. These meanings generally lead to unpleasant emotions, make life a lot more unhappy. But it goes beyond that. These meanings often lead to divorce, which leads to a lot more suffering. Ask yourself right now, take a look. Do you give meaning to what your partner says and does? Because if you do, you're suffering needlessly. Solve your meaning and stop your suffering. Here's a more serious story that makes essentially the same point. Many of you probably remember Valerie Harper. She was star of her own TV show, Rhoda, and co-star with Mary Tyler Moore and her hit show many years ago. She recently was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. Most of us would give that the meaning, if it happened to us, oh God, that's a catastrophe. What a horrible disaster. Valerie gave her death notice a totally different meaning. She joked and said, we're all terminal. None of us are getting out of here alive. And then she made it her mission to model for everybody that it's possible to not suffer when we're given a diagnosis of a terminal illness. All meaning exists only in our minds. It's not in the world. Events have no inherent meaning. Now, it's important to distinguish between suppressing feelings and dissolving the meaning that causes a feeling. Suppressing a feeling is having a feeling and pressing it down, keeping yourself from knowing that you're actually having a feeling. That's very different than dissolving the meaning that causes a feeling, because when you do that, feeling disappears. There's nothing left to suppress. So now let's take a look. Why do feelings have to come from emotions? Why do feelings have to come from meaning? Why can't they come from events? So I'm going to ask you to take a look at a couple scenarios. And if you can make them real, pretend they're happening to you right now. And if you do, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So here's the first one. Imagine it's like 11 o'clock at night. You have no intention of going out, about to slip into bed. And as you turn off the light, you look out the window and you notice it's starting to rain. Would the rain make you feel anything? Most people would say no. Well, here's the second scenario. Imagine that you've been planning to get married for many, many months. And it's an outdoor wedding, and you're really excited. And here we are, it's the morning of the wedding. And you hop out of bed and run to the window, and from out of nowhere, there's torrential rains. How's the rain make you feel now? Most people would say disappointed or unhappy. Here's the final scenario. Imagine the same wedding and the same rain. But in your culture, rain on your wedding day means you're going to be blissfully happy for the rest of your life. How's the rain make you feel now? Most people would say happy. Here's the point. Can you get that the rain doesn't make you feel anything? It's the meaning you give the rain that produces your feeling. Here are a couple more examples, just to make the point of how we add meaning to events. A car cuts in front of you on the highway, meaning he's a stupid driver. Or drain backs up in your house. Oh God, my house is falling apart. Dissolve your meaning and stop your suffering. Attributing meaning causes upset and suffering in almost every area of our life. Has your job ever caused you to suffer? Josh Maroney, a friend of mine, learned how to dissolve meaning. And then what she did is she turned a job she hated into a job she loved. Here's what she said. It's real interesting. She said, on many days at work, I have to photocopy hundreds of invoices. To say I was bored silly would be an understatement. I hated it. After learning how to dissolve meaning, I realized the meaning I had given this work was this is mindless, rote work that isn't in the least bit challenging. I dissolved that meaning. That enabled me to make photocopying invoices into a game. I made it into an Olympic event. every time I took a package of those initially irritating invoices to the copier, I trained to beat my earlier best time. Mistakes in assembly meant I was disqualified. I was so efficient at this, it was amazing. I was in the zone while making photocopies. See, photocopying invoices was the event. That the job is mindless rote work. That was the meaning that Josh had unconsciously added to the event. And when she discovered that, she dissolved that meaning and created a positive one. Can you see why I say dissolve your meaning, stop your suffering? Now that you see that now that you see that your suffering comes from the meaning you give events, you're ready to learn how to dissolve meaning. So here's what we're going to go. You're going to have a first-hand experience that when you dissolve the meaning, your negative feelings and your suffering are going to disappear. So again, please don't merely listen. You got to do this exercise in order to have the experience. So I'm asking you to please follow the instructions, and you'll see how this thing works. So recall some negative feeling you've had in the last week or so. Now, for this example right now, please don't pick a particularly intense example. You can learn how to dissolve intense emotions, but for this one, just pick some anger, anxiety, some general upset that you've had in the last week or so. Just recall a time when you've had a negative emotion. Now, the emotion's going to be gone in just a few moments. When you think of the event, the emotion's not going to be there. So get a clear sense of what that emotion is now. Okay, you got it? Now, next question. What happened before the emotion? Somebody did something, somebody said something, something happened. What was the event? Please raise your hand when you've identified the event that came just before the negative feeling. Okay, I think that's just about everybody. Okay, great, thank you. Now, here's the next thing. You got the event, you got the feeling. What was the meaning that came in the middle? What's the meaning you gave the event that caused the feeling? So please raise your hand when you've been able to identify what is the meaning that you gave the event. Okay, I think that's just about everybody. Great. Next, you're doing great. Thank you so much. Next, make a clear distinction between the event, the meaning, and the feeling. See, the event exists in the world. It's what would show up on a video recording. The meaning exists only in your mind. Now, if you're having any difficulty at this point, sometimes it can be difficult to get that the meaning is not inherent in the event. So if it still seems like the meaning's part of the event, here's something you can do that'll help. Give the event a couple of additional meanings. See, there are multiple interpretations, multiple meanings for any event. Just as an example, imagine your spouse doesn't pick up something at the store. We might unconsciously and automatically give that the meaning, they don't care. That's one possible meaning. Another possible meaning is they do care. They just forgot. Or they do care, but they were busy and planned to pick it up tomorrow. There's many, many meanings. And if you can get that there's more than one meaning for an event, then it's easier to get that the meaning you gave the event came from you and is not inherent in the event. So please raise your hand when you found a couple of alternative meanings for the event. You got to do this in order for this thing to work. I don't care about raising your hand. I just want you to do it. Okay? Okay, so let's move to the next step. Here's the important point. Meanings can cause emotions only because we think they're part of reality. So as long as you think that here's the event and here's the meaning, as long as you think that the meaning's part of reality, it's real, it can cause feelings. As soon as you get that the meaning is not part of the event, it's not in the world, it's only in your mind, it can no longer cause feelings. So raise your hand when you've made a clear distinction between the event, the meaning, and the feeling. Okay, I think we got it all. You guys are doing great. Here's the final part of the exercise, last step. Think of the event that you thought of a couple of moments ago, and please raise your hand if you notice that the feeling has disappeared. You got it? Okay? Now, many of you saw that the feeling disappeared. In some cases, it didn't. And all you've got to do is make a clear distinction. And sometimes you need a few minutes of concentrated thinking to be able to make that clear distinction. But with a little bit of practice and getting that there's a clear distinction between the event, the meaning, and the feeling will always disappear, and so will the feeling. Now, can you get that if you did this all the time, if you dissolve meaning all day long, you'd also be able to disappear your suffering? There's one caveat. Knowing how to disappear and get rid of negative emotions and suffering doesn't do any good if you don't do it. So here's what you got to do. Anytime you notice any negative feeling at all in your life, stop for a moment and ask yourself, what happened just prior to that feeling? And then ask yourself, what's the meaning you gave that event? And just make a clear distinction between the event and the meaning. Is that clear? That's all you got to do. As soon as you get that the meaning's in your mind and it's not in the world, it'll disappear. And when the meaning disappears, the negative feelings disappear. And when the negative feelings disappear, your suffering stops. I noticed something fascinating in teaching hundreds of people how to do this process. If you set an alarm 14 times a day for about 10 weeks, about 1,000 times, and you dissolve whatever meaning you discover every time the alarm goes off, do you know what happens? It becomes automatic. You don't have to think about it anymore. The meaning dissolves without thinking about it automatically. And remember, when you dissolve your meaning, you stop your suffering. We can all experience real deep inner peace in a matter of weeks if we learn how to dissolve meaning automatically. Despite what most people think, daily suffering is not part of human nature. Can you even imagine your life and the life of everybody else on this planet without negative emotions, without suffering every day? If we stop giving meaning, no one would ever experience themselves as a victim. If we stop giving meaning, no one would ever feel anxious when things didn't turn out the way they wanted. If we stop giving meaning, no one would ever get upset by their circumstances. Dissolve your meaning, stop your suffering. A few years ago, I figured out how to dissolve meaning. My suffering stopped. Then I taught a few hundred other people how to do it, and their suffering stopped. And then I decided I had to tell you. Because if they can do it, so can you. Take a look right now in your life. Where in your life, if you dissolve meaning, could you stop your suffering? In your relationships? With your children? At work? And if you can do it, so can everybody else in the world. Do you know anybody who feels victimized? Tell them. Do you know anybody who feels anger or anxiety or upset when things don't turn out the way they want? Tell them. Do you know any parents who get upset with their children because they give meaning to their children's behavior? Tell them. Tell your friends and family, tell your children, tell everyone that they don't need to suffer. This is an idea that's worth spreading. I'm committed to having a world in which you and the other 7 billion people on this planet dissolve your meaning and stop your suffering. Thank you for participating with me and allowing me to contribute to you today.